Hello everyone, welcome back to our live. We are starting a new playlist and that is specifically for reading comprehension because reading passages appear in a lot of competitive exams, especially UGC NET for both paper 1 and paper 2. So I thought we would look at some previous year questions of NTA UGC NET exam, read through some passages and attempt to answer the question. So this particular question paper is from NTA 2020. Okay. And we will only be discussing the reading passages in this particular video. We'll be discussing the entire paper in the upcoming live sessions. I will make into a separate playlist. So if you are interested in such exams and if you are interested in practicing PYQs, do like the video and subscribe to our channel. So I'm going to start. 23. Read the given passage and answer. Okay. So the poem, it's a poem and by Stephen Spender. It's called Daybreak. I'll read the poem first and then we'll go through the questions. At dawn she lay with her profile at that angle, which sleeping seems the stone face of an angel. Her hair a harp, the hand of a breeze follows to play against the white cloud of the pillows. Then in a flush of rose she woke, and her eyes were opened, swimming with blue through the rose flush of dawn. From her dew of lip, the drop of one word fell from a dawn of fountain when she murmured, Darling, upon my heart the song of the first bird. My dream glides in my dream, she said, come true. I waken to my dream of you. Oh, then my waking dream dared to assume the audacity of her sleep. Our dreams flowed into each other's arms like streams. So, this is the particular passage or the poem we have. Now, let's attempt the questions. And if you are with me, do try to give your opinions in the comment section. So, based on the passage, let's read the first question. Which among the following best describe the lady's at dawn she lay asleep? Option A, her face appears to be that of a stone sculpture. Option B, the side view of her face appears to be that of a sculpted angel. Option C, her face appears to be that of a stone angel. Option D, the side view of her face appears to be that of an angel. So while reading, we have come across that line in the first stanza itself. It is, at dawn she lay with her profile at that angle which sleeping seemed like the stone face of an angel. So the right answer for this question is option B. Okay. It's a very direct question that we can get from the passage itself. Next question. It's a match the following. So on one hand, we have her hair, pillow, breeze, cheek. And the other side, what it is an example of. Player, harp, rose, cloud. And we have the options A, B, C, D. Let's solve it together. Okay, I'll give you a minute. We have to find it out from the poem itself. So let's solve it together. In the poem, it says that her hair a harp. So A is 2. And we have only one option where A is 2. So her hair is a harp. And pillows are cloud. Pillows are said to be the example of cloud. Breeze is an example of being a player. And cheeks are compared to that of a rose. So option C is our answer here. Next question, it is again match the following with similes, with literary devices. So here we have on list 1, there are number of items. Her hair a harp, the hand of a breeze, seems the stone face, and my waking dream. And we have to find out which phrase is an example of which of the literary devices. Simile, metaphor, oxymoron, synecdoche. So let's solve it together. Simile is when you use the word as or like, meaning, let's see, metaphor is where we compare two things as itself. He fought, no, when the example, when he fights like a lion, the word like happens, so it is simile. But when we say he is a lion, that is metaphor. That's the difference. Oxymoron is when we say two contrasting things. Happy, tears. That's an example of oxymoron. Synecdoche is part of a whole. When we say, give me a hand, you're not actually referring to the hand or referring to the entire person. So that is synecdoche. So let's see. So here when we say her hair a harp, we are comparing the hair to a harp, and we are not using the word like or as. So it's not a simile. So that means it's a metaphor. And once again, we have only 8-2 in one of the options. So option A is our answer, but we'll look at the other options as well. So we know her hair, a harp. Comparing hair and a harp directly, that's metaphor. Next, the hand of a breeze. Again, just like said, when I say, can you give me a hand? I'm not actually referring to the hand alone. I'm referring to the entire person. So here, when the poet says the hand of a breeze, to the entire breeze. It's a part of a whole. And what it is, seems the stone face. This is again an similarity where her profile is being compared to that of a stone face of an angel. So again, a like, then comparison is happening. So it is simile. And then my waking dream, oxymoron, because when you wake, how can you dream when you're awake? So waking up and dreaming are two contrasting things, but it is happening, coming together in a single sentence. That is the perfect example of oxymoron. So option A is our answer. Okay. And with that, the first passage is over. And now we come to the second passage. So I hope the first passage, the first poem was clear to you. And we are moving forward to the second passage. Logic cannot have any empirical part, that is, a part in which the universal and the necessary laws of thought should rest on ground taken from experience. Otherwise, it would not be logic. That is, a canon for the understanding or the reason, valid for all thought and capable of demonstration. Natural and moral philosophy, on the contrary, can each have their empirical part, since the former has to determine the law of nature as an object of experience, the latter, the laws of human will, so far as it is affected by nature. The former, however, being laws according to which everything does happen, the latter, laws according to which everything ought to happen. Ethics, however, must also consider the condition under which what ought to happen frequently does not. So this is a passage by Immanuel Kant, and we have to answer just two questions based on the question. So I'll give you a few seconds to read through the passage and discuss the following questions, okay? So the first question is, logic cannot have any empirical part because option A, laws of thought are subject. These are a couple of statements. So statement number B, its propound laws whose applicability can be shown. C statement, its laws are valid for all thought. D statement, its laws are valid for everyone's experience. And we have the options here. We have to select two statements which are right. It's already given that logic cannot have an empirical part. We know that. That's the starting of our passage. Why? That's what we have to answer. Being empirical means it is based on observation and experience. Okay. So let's see. If you look at that, being empirical means it should be subjective and it should be based on observation. And they are saying logic cannot be empirical. So it should not be subjective and it should not be observational or based on experience. So here the statement A and D is not applicable for us because logic should not have an empirical part, means it should not be subjective and it should not be based on everyone's experience. So we have option B and C as remaining one, and we have only option B that contain both B and C. So that's how we use the method of elimination to get to our answer. Next question. Based on the given passage of the following, which of the following two statements are correct? Statement A, for natural philosophy, nature influences the law. Statement B, for moral philosophy, nature is to be experienced. Statement C, natural philosophy does not describe how things actually do happen. Statement D, moral philosophy account for what should be. Which of the following statements are true? So let's look at our passage again and find out what does it say about natural and moral philosophy right here. So it says that natural philosophy, one has to determine the law of nature as the object of experience. In moral philosophy, the law of the human will so far as it is affected by nature. So if you look at our statements, for nature influence the law, that is true. Okay, this is true. And let's just use the method of elimination. We know A is true. Let's eliminate the option where A is not there. Okay, so A or D is our answer. So let's look at option B. For moral philosophy, nature is to be experienced. That is incorrect. Natural philosophy does not describe how things actually do happen. That is incorrect. It's based on nature. And moral philosophy account for what it should be. It's dealing with human will. That is true. So our right answer is option A and statement A and D. So this is how we use the, which will help us get at our right answer. Even if we don't exactly know the right answer, this is how we use the process of elimination to arrive at the right answer. Now we are going to look at another passage. This is a passage taken from Shakespeare's King Lear. Okay. And the creature run from the cur. There thou mightst behold the great image of authority, a dog's obeyed in office. Thou rascal beat, hold thy bloody hand. Why dost thou lash that were, stripe thy own back, though hotly lust to use her in that kind, for which thou whips her, the usurer hangs the cozener. Though tattered coats, small vices do appear, robes and furred gowns hide all. Plates in with gold, and the strong lance of justice hurdless break, arm it in wrath, and pick me straw thou pierce it. And based on this passage, we have to answer the following questions. So first question, who speak these lines and to whom? Option A, Edgar to Lear. Option B, Goneril to Edgar. Option C, Lear to Gloucester. Option D, Gloucester to Lear. If you know your King Lear by heart, If you know it in depth, do attempt to answer a minute and I will give you the explanation. Don't forget to like this video if you do find this video helpful. We'll be looking at more reading passages in the coming live stream. Okay, so actually this is where Lear talks to Gloucester in the play King Lear. Next, in the passage, the church officer is asked to whip his own back rather than the prostitutes because option A, as a religious man, he should punish himself for others' sin. Option B, he at one time had lusted after her. Option C, men like him make them prostitute. Option D, he does not have the authority to whip a woman. So basically, Lear, in this passage where Lear talks to Gloucester, there's a prostitute and the church officer is asked to himself. Why that is? And we right here, in this who hotly lust to use her in that kind. Where here, why those thou lash that wear, stripe thy own back, though hotly lust to use her in that kind for which thou whipst her. What does that mean? It means that this person lusted after this woman, and it is men like them that make these women go into that trade. So option C is our answer. Men like him make them prostitutes. So actually, who should be punished? It's not them. It's the people who are indirectly responsible for these these kind of punishments that should be whipped. Next question. The two sentences in the line from through tattered clothes to straw though pierced deal with the two foibles, vice and sin. Now these two, the speaker says that. Option A, vice but sin afflict only the weak. Option B, sin afflict all but vice afflict only the strong. Option C, sin and vice are seen in both weak and strong. Option D, sin and vice are palpable in the weak and impalpable in the strong. I'll give you a minute to answer it. So here it's the end of the, yes, this is where our question appears. So if you look at this particular lines, it explains that in the poor, through tattered clothes, small vices do appear. That means small vices, the weaknesses appear more in poor people. And these same happen inside rich people, but it is better hidden under the expensive and luxurious clothes and robes and fur. So that is what that line means. And the next line also says the same line, that divided because their tattered clothes are not able to hide those vices. But when it comes to rich people, they have such expensive and luxurious robe and fur and everything, and they are able to hide their bad behavior better. So that's the basic idea. So let's look at the option and see which option says it better. It is option D. Sin and vice are palpable in the weak and impalpable in the strong. It means the basic idea that we have discussed just now. We have only one more passage for us, just this passage and two questions connected with it. So it's easy, it's fairly easy. So attempt to read it with me. The surgeon deposited it in her arms. She imprinted her cold white lips passionately on his forehead, passed her hand over her face, gazed widely around, shuddered, fell back, and died. They chafed her breast, hands, temples, but the blood had stopped forever. They talked of hope and comfort. They had been strangers too long. It's all over, Mrs. Thingamy, said the surgeon at last. This is an excerpt taken from Oliver Twist by Charles Dickens. Now let's look at the question. In the expression, passed her hand over her face, the face is off. Option A, the lady surgeon. Option B, the child. Option C, the nurse. Option D, the patient. So here the scene is that Oliver Twist, the protagonist, is being born. So Oliver's mother gives birth to the baby, but in the process she dies. So here, who is the person dying? The passed her hands over her face. This her refers to Oliver's mother who died. So that means option D, it's the patient. Last and final question of today. The implication of they had been strangers too long is option A, those who spoke of hope and comfort had been strangers too long. Option B, hope had been stranger to comfort for too long. Option C, hope and comfort had been stranger to the patient too long. Option D, hope and comfort have been strangers to the surgeon, nurse and the patient too long. It is in this last 2-3 lines our answers appear. See, this is the line. They talked of hope and comfort, they had been strangers too long. So what does that actually mean? They here refer to hope and comfort. And it has been strangers for too long. For whom? It's not to the doctor or the patient, sorry, it's not to the doctor or nurse or even the baby. It refers to the patient, Oliver's mother who died. For her, hope and comfort were strangers. That means she never felt any hope or she never felt any comfort. Even at that time, it had been a long time since she felt any sort of hope for a future or a comfort. Okay. So here, hope and comfort have been a stranger to who? Is it the doctor? No. The nurse? No. The baby? No, it has been a stranger to the patient. So our right answer is option C. And like that, we have gone through the PYQs of 2020. And just like that, we will be going through many other passages in the previous year questions. This is the first video that I'm making for this playlist, and I hope it was helpful for you. And if it was so, do like the video and subscribe to our channel because we are discussing more PYQs in the upcoming live stream. So thank you for joining and thank you for listening, and I'll see you in my next video. Till then, take care.